You might not know this, but in the global meta, where most builds carry a combat record full of territorial battles and survival triumphs, there's one build that has endured through countless patches of nature's meta. That's the Hippo. Wait, not the Hippo you're thinking of. Not the giant armored tank stat monster terrorizing the African server. It's the pygmy Hippo, a quiet, compact version of the Hippo running an entirely different code, currently ranked B on the power tier list. Not extinct, not changed. And more importantly, it has recently entered the urban meta, gaining global attention while facing serious challenges from nature's evolving patch. But how does a build with no combat history get ranked B? And what exactly are the global spotlights and natural threats it's now facing? Let's find out what this build is all about in this video. Open the world, where the mysteries are revealed, what you have never imagined. To know more about this build, let's go back to in the Savannah Patch 2.0, about 5.3 to 2.5 million years ago. The golden age of brute force and squad warfare. Every class that existed had to deal with being discovered. Most mammalian builds chose one of two strong archetypes. Herd buffer, survives through alliances and DPS tank, buffed by powerful weapons and tank stats. But deep inside the silent jungle server, where the vegetation was thick and dense, there was a build that didn't claim territory, didn't climb ranks through combat, and you could hardly even see its existence. That build was Pygmy Hippo, a build that won not by comparing stats, but by not being scanned, not being challenged, not being bothered. Instead, it won by not showing up. A strategy built not on presence, but on absence. When it comes to mammal builds, we immediately think of sturdy armor pieces like shells, spikes, or brute armor. But the Pygmy Hippo doesn't need to look dangerous to be untouchable. Its skin is 2.5 centimeters thick enough to tank low-tier claw damage, but still flexible for mobility through thick brush. No hair? That's not a bug, that's a feature. Less fur means fewer parasites, easier heat regulation, and nothing to snag when pushing through jungle terrain. But the true OP mechanic? This build secretes a rare fluid known as hipposudoric acid, often mistaken for sweat. It's not just a coolant. It's an all-in-one buff cocktail, antibacterial for minor wounds, UV-resistant under sun patches, and 0% signature for predator evasion. That's where the sweat cloak comes in, a hidden buff that grants stealth bonuses, inflammation resistance, and sunlight shielding, all while maintaining zero aggro. It doesn't smell like prey, doesn't act like prey, so it doesn't get hunted like prey. Because the Pygmy Hippo doesn't draw threat, doesn't fight over territory, and doesn't even leave behind conflict marking. Instead, it moves through the biome like a buffer zone, creating an aura of ecological calm. No alarms, no aggression, just enough presence to exist, but never enough to matter. And in a meta obsessed with power, it turns out that not being worth the kill might be the highest form of survival. Not stopping there, this build also possesses a strength that's the complete opposite of the big hippo build we usually see. Forget raging rivers. While its larger cousin charges rivers and bellows at crocs, the Pygmy Hippo spawns differently. No roars, no alerts, no PvP markers. Its signature skill, low bubble dive, lets it submerge for up to 5 minutes without bubbles, splash, or sound cues, perfect for avoiding air-based gankers like eagles or drones. And no, it doesn't swim like a torpedo. It walks underwater slowly and silently, a technique that evades sonar, suppresses wake, and prevents visual flags from apex builds. No movement ripple, no threat alert. Under cover of darkness, its entire kit transforms. Zero noise, zero scent, zero signature. It doesn't run in herds, doesn't leave footprints, and thanks to short legs that spread impact across soft soil, even experienced trackers miss it. This is not a bug, it's a feature. Predatory builds rely on movement, sound, and smell to track their targets. But what happens when a build doesn't emit anything? That's where the zero signature trail comes online. It leaves no scent, no trail to chase. Most carnivores walk right past, not because they fear it, but because they never noticed it was there. And while it evades, it also gives. This is a herbivore, able to eat a variety of plants in the aphid forest, from leaves, fruits, to roots. This reduces the risk of resource shortages, when the meta shifts due to climate change. At the same time, with each silent step, it drops seeds, presses paths, and guides smaller builds like rodents, birds, or amphibians through safe passageways. Not a tank in the traditional sense, but a stealth tank. Success is won not through armor, but through absence. It doesn't protect by blocking blows. It protects by erasing conflict before it begins. In a game where everyone wants to be the hero, the pygmy hippo wins by being the hidden force that holds the forest together. With all the visual and ecological flair, the pygmy hippo build comes with a fragile codebase, especially when the meta shifts. Its combat stats are non-existent. No horns, no tusks, and teeth too small to land critical hits. Once spotted, it has no damage output to turn the tide, meaning detection often equals instant game over. Unlike herd-based builds that benefit from early alerts, shared aggro, or defensive formations, the pygmy hippo runs solo. No herd buff, no group pings. If ambushed, it can't call for backup. In metas where predators coordinate or roam in packs, this build becomes a free kill on sight, especially when the map tilts toward hunter-heavy events. And while most species balance fragility with fast reproduction, this build suffers from severe reproduction lag. One offspring per cycle. Long gestation requires a 100% safe zone to even attempt reproduction. So when habitat fragments or environmental stress spikes, the population can't scale, leaving the build dangerously exposed to extinction patches. Worse still, its stress index skyrockets in urban or captive zones. Limited forest space, excess noise, or human proximity can trigger behavioral glitches. It simply isn't coded for concrete biomes. The pygmy hippo thrives only under very specific environmental conditions. Outside that patch, every strength becomes a vulnerability. And in a server where human zones expand fast, this build faces a brutal truth. If the world updates too quickly, it might not load in time. With all the information about this build that I have brought to you, we can see the pygmy hippo isn't built for PvP or frontline raids. No burst, no aggro pull, no crowd control. But when placed on the right map, dense jungle biomes or swamp patches, this build activates its full stealth support potential. In conclusion, with such great stealth support, pygmy hippo is ranked B on the list, with almost perfect stealth stats. After several million years of near absence, this build has re-emerged like a resurrection phenomenon. In 2024, the Jungle server logged a strange event. A pygmy hippo build spawned not in its usual West African biome, but in Thailand, under the alias Mudang. On paper, nothing had changed. Same stealth-based mechanics, same non-aggressive code, same soft-footed, scentless pathing. But the patch notes didn't account for one thing: a camera, a live stream, no voiceover, no music, just 24/7 raw gameplay, quietly pushed Mudang into the spotlight. It didn't roar, didn't flex, just existed. And somehow that calm presence hit harder than any scripted highlight reel. While meta players chased DPS and flashy combos, Mudang activated a different kind of power: soft presence. It wasn't built to perform, it was built to persist, and that's what made it trend. From a build specialized in avoiding conflict, Mudang has become a meta meme. People started calling it the anti-main character arc, Sigma Hippo, or the chillest tank alive. It did nothing at all, and still made the world pause. In a world where everyone's trying to stand out, Mudang proves that staying silent at the right moment might just be the most powerful move in the entire server. And that's not a buff. That's the destiny of a build, born to be seen exactly when the meta needs it most. Mudang didn't just trend on social media. This build quickly made its way into television and video games as well. Don't forget to like if today's content I brought you gave you an interesting build. Subscribe to get the next level list, and as always, good luck.